Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Playoff Bracket Draw Show for the Legends of Runeterra Season 1 Runeterra Academy League. I'm Headmaster Red, joined here with the wonderful, the beautiful Ikato. How are you doing tonight, Ikato?
I'm doing great. Doing great, bud. Appreciate you having me. Excited to see all of the matchups that we're going to be seeing in the playoffs. It should be pretty hype after, 7 weeks of play here. Being able to see who is actually going to end up going up against each other on the first round of the playoffs. It should be pretty exciting.
Yeah, it should be amazing. What an exciting season. The last week itself was so exciting for Group 2 and 4. We literally didn't know who was going to make playoffs until like the last matches. So, I mean, you can't ask for like a better shakeout than that.
Yeah, it was
Uh,
kind of perfectly set up where we could just, watch them as they were coming through and, really go down to the wire there. If nothing else, it was great content to be able to follow on.
yeah, and if you guys weren't in Ikado's chat, after you watched, of course, the Runeterra Academy stream, if you weren't in the Ikado's chat, like afterwards, watching the live, like play by play of the team's results coming in and the speculation, that was some of the most fun I had all season. So, but yeah, I mean, before we really get into the picks, is it any surprises, anything that really kind of like didn't shake out the way you expected?
I mean, I think a couple of the really big ones, coming out of group two, it was really scary there for quite a while. I think that going in, there were quite a few teams that you sort of expected to come out. And Stromboli Gaming getting the second seed, of course, pretty big upset, I think, for a lot of people. They really took care of business this season and showed that they're a team that people really have to worry about. You can't just walk past them. But Mental Mori and Beautiful Gamers just barely squeaking in the last game, able to pick up those third and fourth place spots. And then out of group four, second seed getting picked up by OGAT, Omega Gaming Agro Tempo. Really, pretty awesome there. Again, pretty stacked group there, able to pick that up. I think that was a little bit surprising.
Yeah, I think group 2 having four teams finish 7-7 and then uh uh beautiful gamers and Momentum Mori squeaking in on game win percentage is just insane because those were some of the top teams that we were expecting to come out of that group. And then the other big insane thing to me was Mastering Runeterra taking the first seed by one game, literal one game difference. Um over OTK, which is, it's the difference in one pick. So,
Yeah, it
and
was
that's
huge. And you guys had us on the edge of our seats there just because it didn't update all at once. So, for a second we think OTK is the first seed, and then it finally gets updated, and we see MRP just barely holding on to that first seed. Didn't quite throw it there in the last week. It was pretty exciting.
yeah. And the teams themselves, they don't technically know who they're playing against. But I want to put everyone on notice that every single team got one of their top 3 picks except for OGAT, of course. Uh OGAT didn't have to submit a lineup. They did send me 8 teams and they did get their actual last pick. So, this
Wait,
little
wait, wait.
spoilers
Can
for
you
OGAT, but I won't leak it right now. You'll find out later, but
can we
OGAT
leak
knows.
their full ranking because that's basically their power
Yeah.
ranking, right? Of the
Yeah.
3 and 4 seeds. I would love to see that at the end.
Yeah,
That way you can see which ones they were scared of.
I don't know if I can show it on screen, but I can definitely relay them. We could probably
Okay,
talk about them as it comes out.
sounds
But
good.
first team, first seed, Wombats Prime.
Yeah, the only undefeated team, right? They went a solid 14 and 0. Just an absolutely insane run here. There are so many incredibly strong teams in this league. So for them to really come in and sort of, take care of business every single week. Manesia, an incredibly strong player, one of the top ones if you're looking at just player stats. Soul and Conch constantly bringing in the spice. This last week, bringing in, some Riven A Soul, the classic. This is just an incredibly strong team. Really excited to see who they end up selecting. There's been a lot of talk about whether or not they'll go with, one of the stronger teams to sort of test themselves for the content, or if they, go for perhaps one of the weaker ones just to be able to sneak through that week one.
Hmm. And there was a little storyline about Wombats Prime towards the end involving you and Conch. Big bet on him going undefeated. Didn't quite squeak it out, but even with his meme lineup, he almost did go undefeated. Had you shaken a little bit, I think.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I didn't want to have to actually give him mod in my channel, but we thankfully for all of the doubters, we ended up high rolling our alert game against him, so he did not quite come out undefeated. But yeah, no, this is definitely, if nothing else, an incredibly exciting team to watch, making sure that there's always interesting storylines there.
Hmm. All right, so we'll go ahead and reveal their pick now. Wombat's Prime has chosen Shikate as their opponent for round one. What's your thoughts
Chikat
on this?
I they ended up squeaking out as the fourth seed in group number three. And group number three, I think, was an incredibly top-heavy group. If you look even at the scores, there's a couple 11 wins, 110 wins, Shikati at seven. So definitely, I think a team that a lot of people are looking at as potentially being one of the weaker ones. But at the same time, still a pretty solid team in a difficult group, and one that I don't think that there are any weak teams in this playoffs, So even if a lot of people were perhaps looking at this as being one of the weaker ones, um, definitely should still be a match, I think, for Wombats.
For sure, for sure. I also see some liars in the chat. People literally lying about their pick order. Hello, I'm going to reveal. I'm gonna reveal. So why lie? That's kind of weird, champ.
Damn.
Uh, so, but obviously, Prime only had one pick. They picked Shikate. I think this is, they look the weakest on paper, individually, and playoffs is very highlighting of individual play, and I think that's why a lot of teams put them at the top. In fact, 4 out of the top 8 teams picked them for their number one seed, as their first selection. But I don't know, man. I've been reading Trinithan's tweets, and it seems doomed, dude. Like Shikate's just gonna win the whole thing.
Yeah,
I mean,
definitely. I think even if it's a team that a lot of people, perhaps are expecting less out of, sometimes those are the ones that come in, you aren't quite as prepared as you otherwise might be. Shikati, they knew that they were always going to be in an uphill battle, right? But when you're able
mhm.
to be the underdog, I think that, that can give you a lot to work off of. So should be pretty exciting, I think. A little bit insecure, I think, of Wombat's Prime. I thought better of them. I thought that they would, perhaps pick a stronger team. But it is what it is. They're coming out here just trying to make it through that round one.
Right, right. Uh, and I heard some rumors that they were gonna pick your team, and obviously that just wasn't the case. So I mean, that's kind of weird, champ.
I'm
But
disappointed that they didn't, frankly. Now
yeah,
I'm looking at this bracket and I hope that we get to go up against OGAT, just so that we can find the Wombats in round two. Like, I just want to fight them as soon as possible and knock them out.
yeah.
That can't happen, right? Because we're in
I
the same
mean,
group, but
yeah, it's gonna be a little difficult, but okay. Well, we're moving on to the second seed, NA Farmers, and just for this team, we have a special guest, the man himself, Drizoth from NA Farmers. How's it going, Drizoth?
It's going pretty good.
Well, that's great to hear. That's great to hear. I mean, so how do you feel about your performance this season? Your group, anything really?
I'm quite happy with our performance. The team did well. All of our players did well. I think Ali Caesar had noticeably the worst performance on our team, and he was generally the sacrificial lamb. So I don't mean to put him on blast. And
Mm-hmm.
he honestly did pretty okay, even though we kind of threw him to the wolves. I know Aikato has a very similar opinion about what happened to him in group
Right.
stages. And quite happy with my team, quite happy with their performance. And I think we lived up to our name and farmed some NA players.
Oh, for sure. I mean, I don't think anybody debates that. Now, Drizoth, are you aware of your team's pick order? I'm sure you are, right?
Second. But...
No, no, I
Oh,
mean like the
sorry.
teams that you
Yes, I am
picked.
aware
Yeah.
of the
Okay.
ranking of
So
our
you
team.
know who your opponent is, right?
Correct. Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Did you want to call them out real quick, and then
We are
maybe
choosing Pandex Blue.
Pandex Blue. Now, why did you choose Pandex Blue?
Well, our first pick was Shikate. However, we kind of assumed we weren't actually going to receive it. So our second pick was Pandex Blue. We were mostly going between Pandex Blue and What's the other one that we're going between? It's not Wombats. It's
Howdy.
Howdy. Yes, Howdy is the other one. However, the playoff format is slightly different than the group stages, where you have to eliminate each individual player. And we felt the players of Howdy rose to higher heights, and there was more of a risk of just getting soloed. And so we went with Pandex Blue.
Very cool. Akado, any thoughts on this matchup? Any maybe even like a game score prediction? What are you thinking?
Game score prediction. Oh God. I
Or maybe
mean,
not game
this
score, but like
format.
set score, like set
Yeah,
score.
so it'd sort of be like
It's a BO5, right?
3 win, right?
Right,
Yeah.
right.
I don't know, probably like 3-1 or something, right?
Okay, okay.
I think the NA Farmers should probably be relatively favored here, but at the same time, you shouldn't sleep on Pandex Blue. This still is a pretty strong team, and it's definitely one that, has had highlights throughout the season. As far as like ranking of the teams that were left over, after Shikati, I think that a lot of teams probably had their eyes on Pandex Blue or Howdy Gamers as sort of being their next selection. So I don't think we could be ultra surprised that NA Farmers decide to go, a bit easier with their route here, but it is what it is.
Yeah. So Drizoth, any real big thoughts about the match? Do you think it's going to be a breeze? Do you think you might stumble here? Is it a 3-0, a 3-1?
I think it's
3-2?
easy. I think it's easy to come in here when you have first or second seed, as the case with us, and kind of look at these teams and be like, oh, it's going to be a joke. It's going to be a breeze. But I mean, even some of these generally accepted to be weaker players, weaker teams, have some like really strong stuff going on. So like Howdy Gamers has Camillari, I'm not entirely sure how to pronounce it, who I actually met in the top cut of a community tournament this past weekend. They have strong players. Pandex Blue has strong players. And I mean, Shikate has some like Cricket, really notably, has put up an incredibly strong performance solo. And with the format change, you honestly can get solo carried by a single player. So
Yeah.
I think it's easy to sit up here and trash talk your opponents, but I don't think there's any team that really can be trash talked at this point.
Yeah, I think that's a very respectable tape because out of the 32 absolutely stacked teams, if you're in the top half of that, I mean, you're no slouch, that's for sure.
I
So
don't know. That sounds like the ramblings of someone who's scared to lose in round one and they're already hedging their bets. Oh my God.
But Drizoth, I feel like didn't you say something? Didn't you want to say something to Aikado really quick?
Play faster.
Play faster? Okay, buddy. Okay.
Oh, that's hilarious. Okay, well, we'll keep Drizoth in here as like a little third guest. It's gonna get more and more hectic as we add more people in. Speaking of adding more people in, we're bringing in for the third seed, the Lee Simps, their representative, Loser Beam. How's it going, Loser Beam?
Not bad at all.
All right, great. So, tell me how you feel about your team's season overall, your group, or anything like that.
Well, I and my team come from Group 2, which is very clearly the weakest group in this season. So I figured that we should just try really, really hard to just do our best playing Legends of Runeterra. And that is exactly what we did. Our record is impeccable, and that is just because we are good players and no other reason.
Okay. Very cool. And is there maybe anyone on your team you want to give a shout out to before we talk about your pick? You had a great team, so
Yeah. I would like to give a shout out to Bitter more than anyone else because he's playing Fight Night tonight. I wish him the best of luck. And also, whenever we had a third lineup that had a bunch of shit decks in it, we always threw it at him. So good. He's a strong man. I'm glad we have him on our team.
Okay. Aikado, how do you feel about the Lee Sims performance this season so far? I mean, well,
I mean,
not so far.
I think it's hard to, knock them at all. I think that they were probably in the most difficult group. I think that, the people that they had to play against probably had the biggest names. I think, just the sort of density of really strong players was incredibly high for their group. So being able to come out at 12-2, I think is really impressive. And, even though it wasn't, a 14-0, I still think that their 12-2 out here is still definitely putting themselves as one of the what it seems to be most afraid of, I think, for most teams.
Ikato, I told you last night, and I'll tell you again, the losses build character. A 14-0 record is just too boring.
Yeah, and it's great for the storyline too. I mean, if you're undefeated, it's kind of like cringe, right? But
Yeah, exactly.
If you show that you could take losses and still beat people, I mean, that's like you're just a better team, right?
Yeah, just think about it. Like who watches a Superman movie and actually pays attention? Like you need somebody with some flaws.
True. And you know what? The thing about being undefeated is you don't know how to lose. So if you when you lose, you need to be able to come back, right? So like if you don't know how to do that, then you're just doomed, right? Your mental's just done, gone after that point. So
yeah, it's true.
I mean,
By that argument, would you say that Shikati is kind of the best team? Because they've lost so much, they're the ones to be afraid of.
I don't know. I think that title goes to Frozen Monks.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think if anyone, the Frozen, maybe because they're so good at losing, sometimes they can intentionally lose, right? Like that is pretty impressive. Now you mention it, I dig it.
Yeah, I mean, I think Shikate is a team to be feared. So I mean, I won't really stand for the slander here, but when they beat Wombat's Prime in round 1, hot take, and you'll see. Then you'll see. But
you want to put money on
that? No. Loser. Did you want to make your announcement on who you're picking?
Sure. The Lee Simps pick Howdy Gamers as their first opponent.
Wow, and that was your second selection out of the 3 that you got. You actually picked Howdy Gamers over Pandex Blue,
yes,
as opposed to farmers who thought that Pandex Blue was a little weaker. So give us a little thoughts on that.
Yeah. So we actually rate Howdy Gamers as one of the more skilled teams out of what you would call, I assume, the first picks that everybody picked. But we all 4 of us know the members of Howdy Gamers very well, and we think that we can pretty much read exactly what they're going to bring to the first week of playoffs. So we're just gonna get in their headspace and bully them and get our free win.
Okay. Ikato, Drizoth, what are your thoughts about this pick?
It makes sense to me. I mean, Howdy was probably our 3rd pick, debated 2nd pick. So I think it's like a very solid pick for 3rd place. The disagreement that we have is pretty minor anyway, so it wasn't like we weren't sitting here going like, "Wow, Pandex Blue is so much weaker than Howdy Gamers."
Right.
It's just kind of a marginal difference. So them picking up our 2nd pick or 3rd pick, however you want to think about it, is not surprising to me. Very reasonable.
See, I'm looking at these first 3 picks, and all I see is just screaming insecurity. Oh my god! I feel like you could have just looked at, they're basically just going off of win percentage.
Oh, Ikato.
Is intentionally losing the set to dodge strong opponents
so
potentially
buddy, my man. I get to play against multiple people who show up in my chat all the time. I get to bully my chat officially. Do you think I'm going to turn that down?
Well, when you put it like that, you're right. I don't show up in your chat enough anymore for you to pick me. I get it.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah, you wanted to be mod. What's your problem?
Yeah, I just think that these are, the most bland ass fucking, by the script selections that anyone could have chosen. I'm much more excited for the next pick because I think this is really where it's gonna spice up.
Oh, it's interesting that you say that, considering you actually don't know the pick, but it is really spicy. So
well, no, I mean just because the next pick is Master and Terra, right? And they can't pick one from their own group, which means that we're sort of out of, I think, what people would consider the weaker teams, right? Their selection possibilities are Memento Mori, Beautiful Gamers, Frozen Monks, and Hydra. And I mean, I
Right.
don't think that there are many weak teams among those. So I think it's exciting. I think it'll be really interesting to see who they decide to pick. This sort of the first strong team that gets picked.
Yeah.
Mastering Runeterra did not get a pleasant experience.
How's that?
With their pick selection and like
Yeah,
the
all of the
time. Yeah.
all of the teams that they probably would have liked to pick got picked up first, and now they are in an unpleasant situation. But
Right. So, I mean, I will say that they got their third pick out of the four that they put up. A kind of interesting order. But just to touch on like mastering Runeterra real quick, um, we didn't really talk about their season so far. They did squeak out that first seed, tied in match wins with OTK, had literally one more win than them. And they were kind of dominant all season. In fact, I think they were undefeated after 4 weeks, and then they've kind of dropped a match every week since then. How are we feeling about MRP? Do we think they are the number one seed in Group 3? Do you think OTK is based on like recent performance or what?
I think that looking at this team, they've been doing incredibly well. Even if looking at it at the end, it's just one game above. I feel like just the consistency that they've shown has been really impressive. That said, OTK also an incredibly strong team, obviously shown by only being one game behind, perhaps the biggest name team I think that we have in the tournament. If you look at it, Jason Stational, Majin Bay, Jason Florent, and Kevor, these are absolutely some of the biggest names uh, in the entire community, right? So I think
Mhm.
it's admirable of OTK to be this high at all. But no, I think MRP is a very strong team.
Okay, and speaking of which, we can go straight into their pick, and they have selected Memento Mori.
Ooh, Memento Mori. So this is the number 3 seed out of Group 2. They sort of went to their very last game to be able to qualify, but these are a lot of incredibly cracked players. Brach, Kata, Katasis, 32 Vamos, and Kazuichi. This is a scary team. This is an incredibly scary team. I think that this will be definitely one to watch.
they do have a severe time zone weakness.
Yeah, they are trying to farm the EU time zone. I don't know. This pick smells like cowardice to me.
Well, I'll tell you that they had 4 picks, and they picked Pandex Blue, Howdy Gamers, which obviously got taken off, Memento Mori, and then Frozen Monks. So
Ooh.
I don't know. I mean, that's the 3 and 4s are like some really strong teams to be.
Just to clarify, top cut matches cannot be rescheduled, right? Because Memento Mori, I think, has rescheduled like 10 of their 14 matches.
But you can't schedule them late. You can schedule them early though.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
an EU cheat code.
So yeah, you can schedule them early. You just can't schedule them later than Thursday. But and it works out much easier because the matches are very kind of confined to their own dealio. They're not doing 2 sets a week. But yeah, so I think out of all the, I mean, of course, there's 4 top seeds, and they got the last pick. But this is definitely like the hardest selection they could have gotten out of the available seeds, I think. So, any predictions on like maybe how that'll shake out? Really, do you think MRP could lose round 1, or is it still in their bag?
It's hard to say. Just because this is an incredibly strong team on both ends. And with the playoff format, I think that they both have, incredibly strong individual players. I would be very surprised if this wasn't an incredibly close set. And I think either one could come out on top, honestly.
I expect a darkness mirror.
Okay, okay.
That's all I've got to say.
You don't expect a Lee Sin mirror?
No, Lee Sin's bad right now. Trust.
They have Kevor and Majin.
Yeah, no, it's fine. It's fine. Don't worry. Look,
Okay.
it's all good. They're gonna try to shake things up. Like I've seen the Runeterra AR data. Everyone just plays Ari Kennen. Like you can't
They're
play
gonna
Lee
have
Sin
both?
right now.
You could do both? You just
No,
ban
that's
the Ari.
unthinkable. That is unthinkable, Drizov. Come on.
Yeah, 2 Ionia decks, that'd be kind of cringe. Imagine.
Yeah. Imagine liking Ionia. God, you'd have to be just wrong in the head.
Preach.
Preach. Okay, okay. On that note, we could probably just jump straight into the fifth seed OTK with their representative here, Void. Void, how are you?
What's up, Red? Here, chilling. It's a clear night here outside.
Oh, it's
Um,
yeah, so
yeah.
it's late for you.
Kinda. It's like 10 p.m.
Okay, okay, okay. I don't know, PVS. You might need to boost his volume. He's a little quiet, but
Yeah, I think it's my mic. My mic.
okay. So Void, tell us. I mean, you're kind of like the all-star on this team, right? Like people recognize your name the most out of OTK members. How did you feel about your team's performance in the season overall?
Well, I think I if it weren't for my teammates, we wouldn't be here. We wouldn't be fighting for the top one in the group.
Mhm.
We had also such a great time there. We faced lots of really rare decks. Like for example, last match we faced Nami TF. I haven't faced that for a long time. For example,
Okay.
even my mate Ray faced Timo Caitlyn. That was totally unexpected. Yeah, and even Deep.
Okay.
But yeah,
Okay.
we had such a great time there. All of those were such great teams.
Okay.
But
And I gotta ask you, how did it feel to look at the end of the season standings and saw that you were down one game to Mastering Runeterra Pro Team?
oh, last week, well, after yesterday was really intense. I before the match, I told my mates, guys, we need to have faith on Mastering losing one game. If Mastering
Hmm.
loses one game, we have a shot. So yeah, we went full tryhard to these last matches, and we were just one win away. We were there, like we were at first we were kind of happy of being first, but then we suddenly realized that Kepler hasn't reported much, so we were
Yeah.
scared. Yeah,
That's
yeah,
unfortunate. And he ended up getting a 2-0, I think, and clinching the first seed, even though
yeah.
they lost that set. So, Aikado, what's your feelings and takes on OTK?
And I think that we had sort of talked about them a few minutes ago, but being
Yeah.
able to come into this group and be only a single game behind Master and Terra, I think is incredibly impressive, especially for a team that I think a lot of people perhaps didn't really recognize a lot of the names. I think that Void is one that several people would recognize. I've ran into like Kokoro on maybe some in some tournaments before, but really not the biggest names in the world, right? And for them to come in and sort of make a splash into this group, I think is incredibly impressive and definitely a team to be, very afraid of. I think coming into the playoffs.
Yeah. Anybody else want to give their thoughts, Drizoth or Loserbeam?
Yeah, I don't know, Void. I think you should have demanded a recount. You could have gotten first seed on a technicality of some sort. I'm confident.
Well, I'll tell a story about recount. When I revealed the pick, we got a story about this team. So we have a lot of story. I will tell before revealing the team. So
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean,
yeah.
really interesting.
Red has been getting pretty frustrated at people not reporting stuff promptly. We probably could have gotten him to penalize these people for not reporting quickly.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely could have had an argument, that's for sure. There's still a match that hasn't been reported. Kind of wild. Luckily, it had no effect on playoffs, but it's still kind
Honestly,
of
if a
wild.
couple of the winners on Mastering Runeterra had reported themselves as player 2 in the forum, you probably could have swayed it. I think it could have happened pretty easily.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I will say before he reveals his pick that OTK actually got out of the 5 teams they submitted, they got their third selection. So I think he'll be pretty happy with this choice. And Void,
Yeah.
do you want to go ahead and reveal it?
First of all, we knew that Pandex and Hody were going to be taken. So I was hoping that the third pick wasn't, because we wanted to play them really hard.
Hmm.
Well, look, some months ago we played a league called GCB.
Hmm.
They were our last match. If we beat them, we were gonna classify. We did beat them, but then a recount happened, and we were just behind the playoff spot. So we were out there.
You got recounted out of the playoffs?
Exactly. Yeah, because
Oh my.
like the fourth week we lost and that point wasn't counted. So yeah, we lost there. We were celebrating that we passed playoffs, and we from some minutes later we realized we didn't. So it was sad.
Oh my god.
Then a few days ago we faced them again, but this time they beat us.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
we have now this is our chance to redeem ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
The team is Team Hydra.
Team Hydra.
Oh yeah.
TA Hydra. So this is Team
Yeah.
Ambition Hydra. And they're pretty stacked. I kind of always talks them up. But they did. I think they got the 4th seed in Group 4, right, Arcado? So
They did.
what's their strengths?
I think that this is a team that just has so much experience at playing at the highest level, with a seasonal winner, a seasonal runner up, and then 2 players who constantly are topping and winning these community tournaments. I think that despite them going 7-7, this really feels like a team that's going to end up really turning it on in the playoffs. And I know that I would not be wanting to play against them, so I respect the hell out of Void for selecting them because I think Hydra has a chance to win it all. I think that this is an incredibly scary team to play against.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're gonna take them. We're gonna take our team.
Nice.
Okay, it's gonna redeem us. So you
OTK
heard it
is out
here.
for blood. Oh,
Okay.
OTK. Man, Void, I respect it. The Lee Sims will see you in the finals.
That's a pretty
See
cool pick.
you there.
Yeah.
Very respectable. Very respectable. I think that's gonna be probably maybe we'll throw that one on stream. That one sounds a little fun to stream. So but yeah, any maybe like any predictions out of any of our other guests here?
Or
I
the
don't know.
go ahead.
I don't know how that match is going to go. I mean, Team Hydra, um, despite their poor performance in group, because they definitely performed not great, they're one of the stronger teams in my opinion. It's pretty. Group 4 and Group 2 both produced very strong 3rd and 4th seeds that were pickable. So it'll be an interesting matchup, but I have no idea how it's going to go.
Yeah, this feels like a total coin toss to me. I'm so excited.
Okay, and I love the history behind it. It should be quite a banger. But on that note, we should move on to our 6th seed, Church of Targon. And we have another guest here to introduce their pick. We have James here from Church of Targon. Hi, James. How are you doing?
Doing well. Yourself?
Doing wonderful. Thank you for asking. So, James, tell me, how did you feel about your season and your group overall and your team and stuff like that?
So, me personally, I felt like I was going to do worse than I wound up doing. But the rest of my team, when you have people like Roji and Scafus, who a lot of people wind up going to because they make like some new deck, like Roji with a Pantheon deck at the start of this season, or last ranked season with Scafus and the Scafus pile, and even maybe starting to get more well known, popping off in other tournaments besides RA, and then I'm just here, like the odd one out.
Okay. Okay. And you have Grandpa Roji, of course. He's the perennial Talia Malphite bringer. Did you ever feel handicapped by him bringing that deck? And you could be honest.
No, I trust him with that deck completely.
Okay, very cool. The loser's just laughing. So Aikado or anybody else, how did you feel about Chip's season?
And I think Chip is a really strong team, and I think that James had sort of touched on it, but maybe next time is a player who's just quietly been at the top of the standings all season. He isn't playing in every single week, but when he does play, he's currently 9-1 in set win rates, and is just an incredibly strong player. Has sort of been topping every single tournament that they've been playing in over the last few weeks, and I think that Chip is definitely a team to be very afraid of, especially in this format. They can bring a lot of weird decks, and one of them go on a tear, and suddenly you end up losing to him. I think Chip is definitely a formidable opponent.
Yeah, I want literally anyone to say honestly if they know their Talia Malphite matchup tables and aren't Grandpa Roji. Because if you told me to tell you how my decks did into Talia Malphite, I'd have no idea.
Look,
I think
honestly, I stopped trying to learn Talia Malphite matchups because I'd ask Roji and then he'd just say it's favored into everything. So
Yeah, I mean,
I just decided that it's just kind of a deck that exists.
it probably beats mid range. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know what it does. It's got cards in it.
As
When-
far as like Talia Malphite tables, I would personally say I'm probably one of the few people who knows them pretty well, just because I've tested with Roji so much. It's kind of ridiculous. You get your ass kicked by him enough, and suddenly you figure out what actually does beat it. But no, I think this is a very scary team.
Okay. A lot of hype. Now, before we get into the next pick, people who are very observant will probably be able to fill out the rest of the bracket. But please, don't spoil it if you can. It's less fun that way in the chat. But James, would you like to reveal your pick?
My team and I decided on Wombat 1 for our second pick. Our first pick was Shakate, and our third pick was Frozen Monks.
So Dodge FM went with Wombat 1 as their second pick, and actually they were the first team to include Wombat 1 in their list at all. So why so confident about the WW1 pick?
So I was the one against Wombat 1 with my team. I told them Wombat 1 is full of good players, but for Maybe and Rochi were hesitant on believing me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because I know like Monty and Yang are like for sure good players. I'm not so sure about Pat since I don't really follow like the EU scene too much.
Okay.
I think one of the things to keep in mind with Wombat 1 is Pat has that fire Twitter game. That's what it's really all about. So, have to keep an eye on that over the next week. But I think it's worth mentioning that Chip was the first team of our last couple that has had the ability to pick Wombat 1. Master Runeterra and OTK were sort of left with only being able to choose between groups 2 and 4, so Wombat 1 kind of flying underneath the radar there, and Chip making sure that they don't get to go too far here, going to be able to snap them up. This should be a pretty interesting game, I think. Grand Prix winner Monte Cristo able to come out here and potentially carry his team to victory. Only finishing one set behind OTK and Master and Terra. This is still a pretty strong team.
What? I think you might have slipped something here. Did you just say that Wombat 1 is not going past the first round?
Did I say that?
I think you did.
I don't think I necessarily said that.
I think you did. I think you're like, Chip is going to stop them here.
What I didn't understand is that Monte Cristo will troll the series.
Yeah, honestly, just like looking at this matchup, it's gonna be 6 lineups of just decks I like. That's it. Like it's just gonna be random stuff.
I mean,
synergy doesn't matter. It's just these are my decks I like. I'm good at them. Time to win. I'm excited.
Yang Zera unironically has brought Aphelios to tournaments.
Yeah, I remember we faced them, and I don't remember. I wasn't sure if I faced Monte Cristo or Lancera. I don't know, but one of them brought a triple elusive lineup. One with Shellfog, Burn, one with Victor England. Well, the classic TF Nami. And I don't remember the third, but the thing is, he kind of tried to win me by elusives with the 3 decks, and not necessarily they were meta. I mean, yeah, they play what they like and they do it right. Good.
I think a scary thing there, though, is if Wombat 1s are able to bring in the elusive lineup and snipe it right, we know that Roji historically hates elusives. It is his least favorite thing in the entire game, so they might have a step up. This might have been a mispick by Church of Targon.
Going for the mental angle.
Yeah. Oh.
All right. Well, on that note, like I said, for everyone in the chat, and some of y'all spoiled it already, you could probably fill out the rest of the bracket with the remaining teams. But we have our 7th seed, Stromboli Gaming, and their representative, Jan Sports, is here. Hi, Jan Sports.
Hello.
How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing fantastic. I've been having a great time hearing everyone talk about everyone. It's very insightful commentary going on.
All right, all right. And Jan Sports, you've been kind of getting a lot of publicity recently, especially with how good your team has been playing, and you in particular. How have you felt about your season?
I've felt great. I really quick want to shout out Aichi, because that guy, if there's like some random deck we think is going to be good in the lineup, he'll learn it. And if we need him to, he'll take the bad matchups so me and Stromboli can get the wins. He's a real team player and an all-around great guy.
And he doesn't complain like Ikato. That's what you're saying.
No, he doesn't complain about being the guy that loses. He takes it in stride.
Okay. I'm gonna hold off on Ikato's opinion of Stromboli Gaming right now because I think it's important to just have the pick revealed first. So, do you want to go ahead and reveal your pick?
Yeah, when we submitted our list, it was just after there was a lot of talk in the Discord about Frozen Monks intentionally FFing so that they wouldn't have to pick a team towards the bottom of the seeded because they'd rather get picked by a team towards the bottom of the seeding. And we took that personally. So our first pick was Frozen Monks.
Oh, it's true. They did pick Frozen Monks first.
Respect, bro.
Let's
Respect.
go. Oh, yeah.
Not often you get to see the 7th pick out of 8 get their number 1 selection. But Ikato, how are you feeling? How are you feeling right now?
I feel like there's a chance that if we end up losing, there's a clip of me on like the original group draw stream where I said something out of group 2 like, who the fuck is Stromboli gonna beat in this group? So I feel like if we end up losing, there's probably some clip meme potential there that I'm not super excited about.
Oh no.
But no, I think it'll be exciting. I will say that, Frozen Monks, I think that we sort of expected to end up playing against Stromboli or Chip, and as it ended up, we ended up playing against Stromboli. And if the alternative was playing against Beautiful Gamers, then I feel like we're okay. Honestly, I don't hate our choices here.
Okay. And I think it was extremely funny to see that, like, in the chat, like Jan Sports was saying, Kachua was like, yeah, we expected to get picked by Stromboli, and that's what we wanted. So to see them, Stromboli want to face you guys too, it's gonna make for a fun matchup.
It's about the storyline at this point.
Right.
I just hope you guys win.
My man Ikato calling everyone else insecure, and then he can't even play a game in the final week.
But for
Bro,
real,
Intentionally throws, and goes up against Stromboli Gaming instead.
all I know is that my team knows how to do math, so sometimes you gotta throw the game. It is what it is.
Dude, this is a card game. You don't need to do math.
now, how do the strongest players on each team fare against each other for Stromboli and Frozen Monks?
I think Stromboli, Prince, and Ikato have some history in old RA tournaments. I think he beat you.
We played against each other?
I think he did.
Wait, did he?
I mean, a lot of teams were beating you in those tournaments.
I lose to so many fucking people in tournaments, bro. I can't keep.
It's not sounding good for your playoffs chances.
But no, I think it is important, just because I am the loudest shit talker on my team, it doesn't mean that I'm the only one. I'll just say that Imtux, Kochua, and Cameron Hanser are incredibly strong players, and even if I can't beat the Stromboli Prince himself, I can get carried on the back of the Frozen Monks.
Like all
that's
season,
what really
right?
matters.
That's your strat. It's King of the Hill format, so you just choose to be the last player, and then you just hope you never have to play.
Exactly.
It's so simple.
1,000 IQ move.
Yeah, actually, before we move on, I haven't heard much from Drizzoth. Drizzoth, what is your opinion on this matchup?
Like Stromboli versus Monks. This is the most
Yeah.
based thing I've ever seen in my life.
Okay.
This is so good. I mean, I don't know which way it's going to go. Stromboli Gaming like definitely surprised everybody. I don't think anybody. I did not see a tier list that had Stromboli Gaming as one of the people that were going to make it out of groups as a top seed, and certainly not as the second seed in Group 2.
Right.
I don't know. They're pretty high up in the team logo tier lists.
That's true.
They do have an excellent logo.
Yeah, best logo probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, their original one was pretty amazing too.
All of the great logos kind of lost out, didn't they? I mean, like Rodham probably had the best logo in the entire league.
I
And,
like
Well-
Lee Sim's original logo.
I hate the Lee Sims current logo. It gives me Uncanny Valley vibes, where I just like am uncomfortable ever seeing that logo.
Well,
Yeah.
it's a fact that the team with the best logo wins the tourney always.
Oh, okay. Well, then it's a wrap, right? I mean, we should just end the show and just go home.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Stromboli won
exactly.
it.
It's Stromboli wins. Yeah.
Oh,
Okay,
really?
I
Because
don't know,
I
guys.
remember I saw the Lee Sims logo and was upset that it wasn't our logo. I love the Lee Sims logo.
All right. Well, I mean, by deductive reasoning, you could probably figure out who OGAT is left over with playing. Now, OGAT did send me a list of 8 teams, even though they didn't have a pick. And the team they're going up against was literally their last pick. So I don't think they're very happy with how things shake out. But OGAT kind of, I don't like the OGAT disrespect. They were pretty damn good all season, and nobody's giving them like any credit whatsoever.
Yeah.
Yeah. Aikata, what do you think about OGAT? Since you lost to them a couple times, right? So
I'm pretty sure that the first time we played against them, let me just check. Oh yeah, that was a quick 6-1. So
Wait, what
don't know.
happened the second time? What happened the second time?
the second time we just didn't show up. So I mean, I
Oh,
feel like
that's true. You did
I
have
just
that.
don't.
Yeah, of course.
I'm just
So what
saying,
I'm-
if we had the option to play against OGAT, we would have won our game this week and then just ran it back next week. Like, holy fuck, are you kidding me? Nah.
What I'm hearing is your overall record is 6-7, which is losing.
True, actually true.
All right. Well,
Yeah, no, I think the OGAT is, for all the talk about the other groups, I think the Group 4 is incredibly strong as well. I think it's a bit more top heavy.
Mhm.
But in a group where Team Hydra is going 7-7, I think that this is still an incredibly strong group. And for OGAT to come out as the second seed is definitely admirable. I think that they are still a pretty strong team, though. Based on who they're going up against, by process of elimination, I think we figured it out. They're playing against beautiful gamers. Which I think coming into this, if I had to select one team that I thought was going to be in the finals no matter what, I think Beautiful Gamers would have been the selection. Cephalopod, What Am I, Shotox, and Henneke. I think that you could arguably put most of these names on like the top 5 players in all of the Americas, right? I think that this is an incredibly scary team to go up against, and I totally understand why they were the last one selected, because despite going 7-7, they're an incredibly hard group, and I think that this is just filled with so many good players that I do not envy OGAT their position.
now I don't want to put in like an asterisk on Beautiful Gamers. I will say that it was really, really tight towards the end of the season. Maybe they had a little hiccup in one of the weeks, but they got some FF wins in that last week, and it basically secured them playoffs against Wombats Alpha. If they didn't get those FF wins, they might not even made playoffs. So
to be fair, they also kind of gave up an FF by not being able to submit deck.
Well, we're not talking about that right now.
Okay, sorry.
I mean, true, very true. But who knows? They could have also lost those games legitimately. Even with the punishment. But obviously, extremely scary team. A team that was probably very worried about their season, like making playoffs at the end of the season. 4 teams tying at 7-7. It was extremely close, but they were able to pull out and get in there. Any thoughts on Beautiful Gamers besides Ikato?
Yeah, this team is so stacked. It's so stacked. It's so fated to make it to the finals. It's all so poetic. I'm ready to see OGAT just completely blow them out of the water.
If they win, can we forcibly convert some of their winnings into an alarm clock for Cephalopod? Like, just like a $5 Amazon one or something? No big deal.
And I mean, like, let's be honest. Like, Haneke's on the Beautiful Gamers team, so they're not going to make it past quarterfinals anyway, even if they win.
Oh no, not the curse.
Okay, the team is in chat, and by democracy, we have 2 yeses, and Cephalopod has slept through the vote, so I think that's good. We can.
Okay, and with that, we have finished out the round of 16 bracket. Any final thoughts? Anybody you want to see on stream? I mean, you guys get to pick who's on stream. I'll just let you do it right now. And not Akaido though, because
it's got to be OTK and Hydra or Stromboli and Frozen Monks.
I want to see the Stromboli Frozen Monks matchup all the way. That's my top pick. Please stream that.
Wait, it's gonna be on Ikado's stream. All right, Akaido, you can't stream. I'm sorry. It's good.
I'll be but no, I mean, I think that the best part about having Stromboli versus Frozen Monks on the stream is that if I lose, then I can just cast the rest of them, so I'll be on every single stream. Isn't that
true.
exciting?
So you're going first?
I mean, if we lose, it is what it is.
Okay.
But no, I think that if you're looking for like the biggest storylines or like the most interesting matchups, I think that that's a reasonable one. But OTK versus Hydra is very, there's the storyline there. That's exciting. Or MRP versus Memento Mori. I think that this was sort of the first pick of 2 incredibly strong teams going head to head. I'd be really interested to see that one as well.
Yeah. If you want my honest opinion on what would be the best content and stream, it's probably OTK versus Hydra. It has an excellent storyline, and I think both teams are incredibly strong. So it hits both checkboxes.
This might be a bit of a resident sleeper one, but I think Pew versus OGAT would be an interesting one to stream. Because it's like, you clearly have Pew, who everyone would assume is the favorites against OGAT, but you never know, OGAT could just turn it around and win and make quarters.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
For sure.
In my opinion, another match that is interesting is Wombat Prime versus Shikate.
Really?
Yeah, the first team picked by the first team to pick, or by the first team to pick, and the underdog versus the top player, the top team. I mean,
honestly, I agree. Just for the sole reason that I want to see what Stolen Conch brings. That's pretty much it.
Okay.
You can't
that
ignore
man.
the
That man
conch
does
factor.
not know how to create a deck that looks good, but he wins. Like,
Look,
I can't insult him too much. Yeah.
I have said this publicly elsewhere. Conch is the most cracked player who regularly kneecaps himself with deck selection I've ever met. That man is insane at playing games, and I hope they never release a limited format because that man will clown on all of us.
Okay.
I think it's important with Conch. If he were ever to bring a good deck, I don't think he would do well. I think that he thrives on his opponent not knowing what the fuck his deck does.
Weird decks are the source of his power.
Yeah, exactly. Losing is winning.
It's like Nerf. It's meme or nothing.
Okay, so that about wraps up our show. One quick announcement. I said it before. Please, guys, don't boo me in chat. I've said this announcement before. I gotta say it again. If you're gonna stream your playoff matchup, you have to have a 5-minute delay. I'm sorry. I saw too many fishy things during the season. It's just gotta be this way. We want the highest level of competitive integrity. So that's what we're just going to do this for the playoffs. And I know you won't be interacting with chat, but I mean, come on. We're trying to, have a competitive format. It's $3,000, okay? So I can't just risk it on somebody cheating. So, yep. Sorry for that little boring spiel, but it had to be said. But thank you guys, everyone who came. And it was a blast having all the guests on today. It was. I thought it'd be a lot more chaotic than it actually was. It was quite well organized. Card game players, I guess. And yeah, thank you guys.
Yeah, it's really weird. LoR is just full of nice people. That's unlike any other competitive game.
If Roji were here in my place, there might be more chaos between him and Aikado.
I
Very
don't know what
likely.
you're talking about. I do nothing but play nice with people.
All right. Well, thank you guys all for coming. It should be an exciting playoffs starting. Probably. I mean, most of the matches should be on Thursday. I don't know if anybody's going to reschedule, but you can find us here on Thursday streaming one of these matches, probably OTK versus TA Hydra. And yeah, so see you guys then. Thank you all for coming, and thanks for a great season.